Welcome back to Tactical Pontoon. Thought I would give a brief update to the Polymer 80 G22 build. As you can see, it is together. I put 44 rounds through it. I know that's not a lot, and I know 44 seems to be an odd number, but I had one issue, and one of the rounds had kind of a misfeed, and as you can see, it got compacted into the shell. I also went with aluminum Federal ammunition. Now, granted, even though it is your basic full metal jacket, compared to 9mm, I'm told it will take down an elephant and possibly Godzilla. So, 44 Magnum for the win, I'm told. And honestly, the recoil compared to 9mm in this frame, I didn't notice much of a difference. My friend, who's a 40 caliber just Nazi, he's got a Smith & Wesson Sigma that likes to jump around. He used to have a car, C9 I think it was, and I was never a fan of 40 caliber. However, it's not bad, being that it's a Glock. Anyways, not to get off on the 40 caliber rant, because that'll be another time. So, got it together. Everything went relatively well, drilling it in the jig. I also, here's kind of your factory Polymer 80 V version 1.5 versus what I did to it. You'll notice right offhand the beaver tail. I gave it something a little bit more ergonomic. The grip, you've got this checkering and this fancy, well, I wouldn't call it fancy, I would call it clunky, just texture. I molded that a lot of, I sanded a lot of that down, and I gave myself a little bit of the bevel, that fancy bevel there. I did the trigger guard that way, and also stippled that. Honestly, I had tried the stipple that I did. Originally was a random pattern, which looked really good on one of my A2 handles. However, if I had gone with like a pattern, like a pattern where I up and down or stuck to one direction, it would have looked a lot better. And I am half tempted to sand this down to get the pattern that I'd like. So the random stipple doesn't look bad. I know it looks to me a lot better than what they did from the factory. But the thing about these frames is, if you put this together and just go out and shoot it, you're not getting the point of the Polymer 80% lowers. There's a lot of extra plastic, a lot of extra polymer that's built into this frame so that you have the ability to mold it into the gun that you want. And for me, I don't have gorilla hands. I have normal sized hands. But I found that right in this area especially, it was just really wide. It felt uncomfortable. So I took some of that down so that it fit my hand better. Overall, it came out really good. The magwell, because I wanted to be able to get in there so that I could strip the mag out if I needed to. So I put a little cutout in there. I shortened the magwell in the rear. I actually left it full length up front. Let's see if we can kind of get an idea. It actually comes out really, really well. overall, I'm really happy with this gun. The machining, if you will, of the lower, I hit it with a Dremel up top and then finished it off with a file. I left myself maybe 32nd of an inch of plastic, and then I hit it with a file, and then I went back with various grades of sandpaper. I'll probably go through one of these builds on camera just to kind of give you a direction as to how I did it. I freehanded the pinholes as it says in the directions. I did not use my drill press. The one issue I had, and it seemed like the drill bits that they included were actually larger than the holes in the jigs. So I'm probably going to get a different size drill bit, especially on this top pin, this 40 caliber pin, if you will, because you might be able to see it. It's actually at an angle, a very slight angle. Now, for my 9mm slide, it didn't hamper anything. However, because the 40 Smith & Wesson has a larger feed ramp, it actually contacted that pin, and I could pull it out of the battery, and when I would release it, it wouldn't move because the feed ramp of the feed ramp of the 40 Smith & Wesson is a little bit larger, and it would contact that pin. Now I chucked the pin up into my Dremel, and I took a little bit of material down, and I test fit it several times until it just was like butter. Like my 9mm. My 9mm slide would cycle perfectly from the start, but because of the 40 Smith & Wesson has a larger feed ramp, I had to take a little bit of material off. So my next one that I do, I'm going to get a little bit different size drill bit and take it through and then bring it up to size with a second ream, so that I don't get, and I've seen this on a couple other builds on Facebook, that they had issues with their even a 9mm they actually had problems with. So that is one thing I would definitely want to watch for. The rear rails on the version 1.5 are polymer. The bit that they gave me, I don't have it here, it actually didn't reach. So you actually start to mill out part of the jig itself, and I wasn't really confident in that. So I scored it. I was able to get just a little score, and I took some diamond files and slowly, it was a 2.5 hour process to get these rails where they needed to be, and they're really nice as they are right now. I actually was watching saw something on Facebook where somebody literally today with a 40 caliber version 1.5, they busted their rear rails today after about 600 rounds. Polymer 80 is actually warrantying out their frame. They're going to have to do the work over again. Am I worried about this happening with these polymer rear rails? Not entirely. You know, there are guns on the market. I think Ruger makes one. There's another one that has polymer rear rails, and they seem to last. If you spend your time and do these rails right, and then you use a good quality lube, I really believe that you should be just fine. Now, granted, we're going to find out, because I plan on putting quite a few rounds through this gun, and I would like it to last. So we will see. We'll talk about what lube I'm using another time. Yes, I use lube. Oh yeah. Because it could be a little controversial. And we'll talk about that another time, but I love it. I use it in my ARs, used it in my Glock, and after using it for the first time, especially in my ARs, I won't go back to anything else. At least I say that now, and if I can be proved wrong, if I can find something that works just as well as what I'm using, I give it a try. I'm going to be doing some tests to verify how well it works in corrosion protection, but we'll do that another time. Factory trigger in this, I haven't done anything to the trigger. It's got a factory connector right now. The one thing I don't like, and I'd like to look at changing that, is in order to get the trigger out, you have to take these screws that hold the front rails, which is connected to the locking block. Now, I'm one of those people that likes to fiddle with my trigger, so having to remove the front rails and take these screws out just kind of makes it a pain in the butt. I'll see about modding it later. Then again, I may not. Depends on what type of time I have to play with this. But right now I'm running the factory trigger, flat trigger. Everything in it is factory. I did polish up and reshape the safety plunger, and I polished up the firing pin where it meets the sear. That's really all I've done. And I just did that because I had a little extra time. So that's the Tactical Pontoon G22 where it's at now. Where are we going from here? I want to keep this to be, it's going to be a little bit of a tactical build. I'm going to put my night sights on this. I'm going to get a light for it. Going to change the trigger out. I would hope that Strike Industries releases their trigger shoe or their trigger bar. The other one I'm looking at is an Apex. I have a Kinetic on two of my other Glocks, which you watched me put one of those on my girlfriend's G43. I like that shoe. I would like to try something else. So that's where I'm doing some decisions. Comment below to let me know if there's one that maybe I'm not thinking about. The Lone Wolf I've looked at. It's kind of ugly, but I like the adjustability. So looking for suggestions. So far I'm really happy with the gun, and we're going to continue forward and make this a lot of fun. I've got my other Glock 22 40 caliber slide came in. I've got my gray tactical gray frame here. I also have a black frame. Not sure which next one I'm going to do. One of them will be a 9mm build, and one of them will get some slide work done. But that's later on. So thanks for joining me at Tactical Pontoon. Gus, still not happy that we're here. Try to cheer him up. Maybe, say hi. Because right now he's just kind of pissed that you're here. Me and him had a conversation today, and it just he feels like you don't like him. So if you would leave him a message, I'll have him log on later. Maybe say hi. Okay. Tactical Pontoon out.